All right. Here's a uh, about 20-mile round trip along the Perkiomen Trail. A lot of variety, woods, fields, farms, little towns, lots of road crossings, lots of bridges. Really very nice. Different surfaces. Some is paved, some is gravel, some is clay. It's in pretty good shape. Really in pretty good shape. This is being recorded on July 4th. Those aren't gunshots. Those are firecrackers. And I did hear some of that along the trail, although they might have just been guns at shooting ranges. A lot of shooting around here in Pennsylvania. The trail mostly follows an old railroad line, but occasionally it leaves it. For instance, here, I know what a 12% grade is now. It's very steep. I walked up it, and yeah, one way it's very steep, the other way is rideable, but of course longer. These people got up it even with the trailer. I took this because it seems every little town has a national bank of whateverville. This is Schwanksville. Schwanksville. I was in Royersford the other day, and there was a national bank in Royersford, First Savings of Royersford, all with these very nice, solid-looking buildings. A couple of horses. You know, the horse people are supposed to clean up after their horses, but I don't know, they haven't gotten to that habit yet. This is, this picture here, this is a pretty amazing place. It's a nursery, they sell plants, and they have this kind of amazing greenhouse. And then in the back they have more modern ones, but this looks like a very old greenhouse. I drove up here once. I drove by it. It's called Ox. You can see it in the grass there. They've somehow, probably with weed killer or something, put their name in the lawn there. I gotta visit sometime. Last time I drove by it was closed. Here's a couple of bridges. I think this one might have been a railroad bridge. I'm not sure though, it might just be a bike trail bridge. Yeah, I think this was a rail bridge, but of course this next one wasn't. Yeah, it's hard to figure sometime why the trail leaves the train rail bed. The trail leaves the rail bed. That's when you encounter the hills and stuff. I think in some cases the rail bed's been turned into a road. I think in another case the rail bed was washed out by the river. So evidently this was just put in for the rail trail. It's a totally modern little bridge. Here's another old rail bridge. It's a nice one. So this sign says, stay on trail, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of Corrections. I guess it's a prison farm. You can't see it in the picture, but there was a deer. This is a field of corn. That's about a foot or two high, and there was a deer feeding in it. I wonder if deer eat corn leaves. It's pretty tough. So this, of course, I thought this was a seafood restaurant, live steamers, but the little investigation I found out it's a club for steam train enthusiasts. And they actually have miniature trains, I assume they run on steam, that a woman who was standing there told me she's seen them run and people ride on them. The rails here are, it's hard to tell the scale here, but the rails are only about a foot wide. So, you know, these are little tiny trains that people sit on top of. I don't know, I'll have to go back sometime and see that. It's pretty wacky. So I ended up in Collegeville, which is kind of the middle of the road town, not real gentrified. Ursinus College is there, and I stopped in the Wawa because the New York Times recommended in the travel section for Philadelphia, they recommended the Wawa meatball hoagie. I think we call them hoagies here. And I got it with cheese, and it was pretty good. It really was not bad. Not bad at all. So you go, New York Times. So I ate my sandwich. This was the turnaround point. Right across the street was the Collegeville Diner. There were a lot of cars in the lot. Looks like a diner I should try. The signage said that the train station, Collegeville, was in the parking lot of the diner, and the train ran till 1955 up this little woodsy, through these tiny little towns until 1955. So look at those pilings there. Some train went over those. These little towns, you know, when you take a rail trail, you pass these old buildings that, you know, depended on the railroad to transport whatever they made. I don't know what this was, but now it's antiques. This is just a beautiful retaining wall that I admired. And down here, what I thought was a sculpture, I think, as it turns out, it's some kind of fire pit that these residents gather around. One funny thing about this trail is, although you see a fence here where the trail drops off steeply, in most places there are no fences, and the trail drops off very steeply down to the river. Very dangerous if you ever slipped or, somebody ran into you. The trail usually drops down about 30 feet, a good 30 feet to the river, and very steep. You go all the way down to the bottom. It would hurt. So obviously this is not part of the trail bed because of these sharp curves. A train would never make curves like this if they could help it. And some of these they just would never make. So this section of the trail is going through a county park. You can kind of tell, everything's mowed and trimmed. I like this section. It runs along the road. It has a really nice gravel bed. We're back on the rail again, the rail bed. And this reminds me of the roads on the farm. When I first got a bike, we lived on a farm, and they had a lot of these roads just back in the farm that I used to ride on. And the crunch of the tires makes me nostalgic. It's very evocative. I also love riding through these railroad cuts with the rocks on either side. It's very cozy. And of course, in a hot day, it's very cool here, usually. Shady. And pretty. Beautiful rocks. There's the Perkiomen. It's called Perkiomen Creek. But it's pretty big river. Well, pretty big creek, a small river. This meets the Schuylkill, just about 10 miles downstream. Yeah, you can see the drop-off here. Very high above the river, and it's very steep. So toward the end of the trip, it got kind of cloudy and it actually started raining a little bit. So I turned off my automatic camera and took some pictures with my own settings. There's the bit about there. Really, oh boy. Beautiful, really beautiful woods. Really nice. A lot of rocks. This is a beautiful railroad cut here through the rock. Sorry about all the noise. Well, I live on a corner, so there's some traffic. So if you take the telephone poles away here, I think you kind of have a view of the little hamlet 100 years ago, 200 years ago, I guess. And it's fun to imagine this, you know, the train going through all this. But of course, when the trains were built here, there was probably no trees. It's probably all cleared. Probably looked very, very different. So this is at the end. I just, as I was leaving in my car, I saw this very strange brick building with a wood top. It's kind of hard to tell what it was built as. Oh well. It's 20 minutes you just wasted.